With your cues, thanks.
Both look like winners. That's a great start. Really fantastic. Okay. Good. Now, we lean forward once you say thanks. Yep. And we will have both cues on. Cues on that? Yeah. Just yours there, sir. Okay. And you're supposed to hold it down. What makes your chin look better? There you go. Neil, can we just have one of you turn your device, please? All right? Yeah. Best if you all lean in, otherwise somebody on the photo will look too tall. Neil, are you standing up straight? Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much.
Right, try and chairs forward.
Okay, Sourav, do you need a warm up? I think you're back there. Yes. Okay, just show us your shots and then get Neil to get you to screen. So I'll do the announcement. Neil, are you right?
Good to have a few minutes.
Praveen, will you be right? Sourav's just going to have a couple of shots, then they'll stream, then we'll be off and running. Okay?
Who's the striker with what ball? We don't know yet, we'll let you know. Can you make tell me that who's the other bit? What is it? Thank you. Peter, play well. Cheers. Play well.
Sourav will go with the white ball. I'll look at it.
So Sourav, Farah will put a white ball.
And Sourav's just gone to the toilet. As he walks back into the room, I'll start the spiel. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the final of the 2019 Pacific International Australian Open Billiards Championship. This is quite a prestigious event. We've been incredibly privileged. We've had 9 internationals who've come and played as part of the field. They've been a credit to themselves and a credit to the sport in terms of how they have performed. This is the first final of billiards that we've had for a while where there has been no Australian in the final. So it's been a great achievement by these 2 particular players to fight through a top-class field to get to where we are. Could I introduce firstly from Singapore, the holder of the highest break so far in the tournament, 452 unfinished, Peter Gilchrist. And the opponent from India, the current world billiards champion from Leeds last year is Sourav Kothari. 750 points, and at the conclusion of the visit where they have passed 750 points, they will have a 30-minute interval, and Neil Brown, as the referee in charge, will make sure that the game is carried out in brilliant fashion. So thank you very, very much to everybody. I hope everyone's got their mobile phone turned off, and I'll leave you in the hands of the capable referee. Thank you.
Paul, could you please get that switch?
Yes.
Thank you. So, Sourav, Kothari, do you do that live? You want to get switched on?
Good morning to those joining us. Final of the Pacific International Billiards from the Yarraville Club, Rivington Academy. I think it's still morning in Asia. It's a late evening in England, if anybody's awake. The referee is Neil Brown. He's a member of this club and he's one of our best referees in Australia. This is actually a rematch of the 2018 World Billiards Championship final. Sourav got the better of Peter on that one. Peter said to me last night he owes him one. This match has been played on straw and 6-8-1-1 cloth. Tables were just recovered last week. The pockets are the IBSF template from 1981, which is the most recent one.
Eight.
We've done something a little bit different with this tournament. We played the round robin matches under a timed format, and then we've gone to the long up format for the knockout matches. So this match is 1500 up.
13.
We've had this international event for a number of years, and it used to be the 150 up format, and many of the Australian players were disappointed that we were seeing these great world-class players coming out here and we couldn't see breaks bigger than 150. So we've modified the format this year and we saw 2 400 unfinished breaks yesterday, which was great. That's a big break under the baulk line crossing rule.
16.
It's always nice to get in first. I'm sure Peter will be happy. Even though it's a 1500 match, it's always nice to get the first score on the board.
18.
Those of you who know Peter well know he has intermittent issues with his back, but he's feeling good this morning, he told me. That's a great camera angle. This table was specially made for major events. We don't typically have steel back cushions on our tables in Australia, but this one is made by a company that's been going since 1853, but they made this one with steel backs for finals and special events.
23.
This is the number one table at this venue. This is where all the main finals are played, and in our league matches the number one players will always play on this table.
36.
It's just underhit that a little bit. Fairly cool morning in Melbourne, and even though the room is now warm, it will have been a little bit cold overnight. Slates may not have fully warmed up yet.
31.
We don't use heated slates in Australia. Our climate, we don't really need heated slates.
33.
Another opportunity to get to the top of the table. It's a match between the reigning world champion and the reigning world number one. Well, that's a nasty kiss. He's hoping that white will pull up, leave him in and off. That's nice. Little soft screw in off. Looks a little narrow for the drop cannon. He may have to play the long loser. It's hard to tell from this angle. I think he's going to play the long loser. It's always nice to get your first long loser of the day. It doesn't matter how good a player you are. That's finished quite awkward. Looks like he's playing a one cushion cannon off the side. Nice shot. Still got plenty of work to do here though. My name's Jason Colebrook, for those who don't recognise my voice. I'm a director of World Billiards. Lovely pot. We'll have a number of commentators during the day.
48.
That's unfortunate. 52 on the board. There'll be a traditional single baulk safety here.
Gilchrist, 52.
Interesting situation. situation here. Does Sourav play the cannon or does he go up and down the table? That red's tucked in quite tight. I think if that was a little bit further out from that jaw, he would definitely go up and down the table. Yes, he's going to do that. That's a good shot. He played that at a very nice pace. That's very surprising.
Kothari, 3.
Bridging awkwardly there on the cushion, but that's still very surprising. Sourav won the international snooker tournament that preceded this event, and he's a very much improved player. It's a major breakthrough for him winning the World Billiards Championship last year. He had a great come-from-behind win against Dave Corsier in the semi-final of that event. And he's shown himself to be a real fighter this week as well. He won the deciding frame in 2 of his snooker matches, one against his fellow countryman Alok Kumar, another against James Mifsud, who was possibly the form player of the tournament. It's a good sign when a player wins those deciding frames. He came from behind against Dave Corsier in the semi-final in the World Championship last year. Made a 300-odd break from well behind.
7.
Peter's got them in good position again now. I think he would have liked an ounce more weight on that. He has to make sure this red doesn't kiss the white. Probably hit it a tiny bit thick. Perfect.
13.
Nice drop cannon here if that red stops. A little bit, so he may go in off the red. It's perfect for that as well. No way of knowing how long these matches take.
21.
Peter's well capable of scoring at the rate of sort of 500 or 600 an hour, but in a final against a class player, it can sometimes be half that. Just about to be joined by David Collins. David's won 4 or 5 Australian Championships. He's about to tell me which one. 4. And a vast number of Victorian Championships. David had a very famous match in 1998 against Sourav's father in Melbourne.
Yes, very memorable, that one for me, Jason. I can tell you, the worst memorable one is that you happened to get over the line. So, yes, best match I've been involved in, and it's good to see his, well, fantastic to see his son doing so well and making a big impact on a world stage and winning the world title.
He's a good-looking player, isn't he? Very compact stance, very compact action. Very little can go wrong.
Yes. And as you were saying before, he's a real fighter as well, and it's one thing to have the shots and all that, but he's got the fighting qualities and being able to come back in matches, and which is a very good sign.
Yeah.
Well, as with this game here, it's always good to get off to a good start at any match really. So you get your cue arm going, and it's quite crucial to get off to a good start at times. So, and a little bit of luck here and there, or it doesn't go astray. Like,
I mean, we've just had both players just slide past the object ball, second object ball. This looks like a half ball cannon from here, but the camera can be deceptive. Perhaps a little bit aside off the side cushion.
yes, I would expect him to get this. Yes, he was able to control the ball there. In quite a good position now. He might be able to get the balls in the top of the table in 5 or 6 shots.
Five.
Notice Sourav's vest doesn't have any logos or badges on it. If there are any sponsors out there looking to sponsor a fantastic player, this would be a guy that you could look towards. Plays both billiards and snooker. Plays a lot of the Asian snooker tournaments. Plays most of the world billiards tournaments when he can.
Yes, which isn't a bad idea. Playing snooker as well, if like potting is such a crucial part of billiards and can get you out of a lot of trouble in situations. So
Yeah.
that would definitely have helped him in the final when he beat Peter.
Absolutely. I watched quite a few of his games in the snooker tournament which preceded this, and he played a very smart game. I don't think he took on any risky shots.
Yeah, well, I was a little surprised that he won the tournament because not so much that I didn't think he could play snooker, that I hadn't heard of any reputation as a snooker player. So to beat a quality field over here is something for his ability and character.
16.
So this is the first time either players really had them a perfect top of the table position.
For sure. And when they get the balls in this position, they're capable of making 200-300s without raising a lot of sweat. So I think he'd be disappointed he didn't at least make 100 and 150, which they need to do when they get the chances like this.
Discussing this format with Peter this morning. He said that a little bit too hard.
It's a slip up there.
Discussing this format with Peter this morning, and he said you like to make more than half your score in 2 or 3 visits in these match games. You're really looking with 3 200s or 300s.
Yes, well, playing up to 1500, if you can knock in some 250s or even a 500, it's gets you so much closer to the line and puts the pressure back on the other fellow.
It's going to cost me and my housemates a pint if Peter makes a 500. We had a little bet this week.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't live up to my end of the bet, but Peter still has one more chance to live up to his end. I only needed a 100 and couldn't do it. I choked on 90.
I see. Well, seems like a fair bet anyway, Jason.
Yes, and Rob Hall had to make a 350.
Oh, okay.
35.
Well, you'd have more chances than them, I would think, during the course of it. But
37.
Here we go, drop cannon again. This is where you need the balls to be, sometimes be kind to you. They can come together and kiss again, and they can land anywhere sometimes, so we'll get in front of it. Like I'm an expert at covering myself like that, but he's played that extremely well. And he's back to where he was a couple of minutes ago.
41.
A little bit of right hand side there just to get a nice contact on the red. He looks like he's set this up to play the cannon from behind, what they call floating white.
Floating white, yes, he's in prime position here. He'll be hitting the... Yes.
46.
It's pretty well perfect now.
He's perfect now. The players will be trying to do when they get them like this is to move that white as little as possible with each cannon.
Exactly. What Mike Russell does better than any other player is able to score so many more points by just grazing the yellow ball or the object ball.
That's a classy shot working in close. That really enables you to just drop onto that white gently. It's much harder to do if you're a long way away.
Correct. Yes, playing from 6 inches away is so much easier, but it's also the hardest thing to actually keep on playing from 6 inches away. So that might look easy, but I can assure you it's very delicate.
60.
One of the intricacies of billiards is that when it's played at its absolute best, it looks simple. But it's not as simple as it looks.
It certainly does. And even the top players will
65.
would agree with that for sure.
67.
This tournament's being played with the baulk line crossing rule, which means between 80 and 99, the player has to send his ball into baulk from this end of the table.
72.
Top of the table is the perfect place to do it. He will get a warning from the referee when he passes 80 or reaches 80, now on 75.
75.
Yes, the ball having to pass the baulk line, and one of the best players I've seen do it is Peter Gilchrist.
Absolutely.
He seems to have no effort in at that stage of being able to send it and through baulk and come back for position at top of the table, and
80. Walk line warning.
it's just a little hiccup for some of them that are not used to making breaks like Peter. But
82.
He may cross the baulk line here. He's left himself a little angle on the red.
that's the good shot. He hasn't hit the top cushion.
Walk line crossed.
That shot's
Yes.
played with running side off the first 3 cushions, but that becomes check off the last 2, which helps you control it a little bit.
Yes. It's just about
Just soft.
a few inches short, but he should be okay floating this ball in. Oh, no,
around
it's gone
again.
around again.
He doesn't get to bank that one for the next time, unfortunately.
Yes.
You'll have to keep the red a little bit thin here and play quite a lot of check. Or just gets thin contact. Still
Yeah.
excellent position.
Good shot. Yes, Peter losing to Sourav in the World Billiards final last year would certainly be on Peter's mind, and would love to certainly like to get back at Sourav for winning that one.
98. One. 103. Six.
none of these top players suffer from a lack of confidence, but nonetheless it's great for your confidence to get into top of the table early in the match and make a big break.
That's right.
Settles any nerves you may have, you get your touch going. You know you're in good form and cueing well.
Yes, it's all about feeling good on the table, as you know, Jason. Some days you don't feel like you can make 10 and others feel like you make 200.
Yes.
So
I felt good on the table once.
yes, we all have, and we feel like champions at times, but unfortunately it's about consistency.
It is, yes.
Doing it under pressure and doing it in important matches.
121.
We've just had one of the legends of Victorian snooker walk into the room, Bob McClass.
Oh, Bobby.
Five or more Victorian snooker championships from as early as 1962.
Yes, and
Now 90 and still enjoying the game.
yes, Bobby's got a very good memory too. He can remember shots he played in 1959 and where the balls were. So I
Does
can't
he remember
I
the
can't
bad
remember what
ones as
happened
well as
last
the
year.
good ones?
Yes. The hard part about top of the table for the other player who's not at the table is to maintain his concentration and not lose the side of he's calling too many or anything like that, and that's why these players are great players. Peter won't be too perturbed at the moment, unless he could start to get a little bit anxious if Sourav makes a 500 or something. Then all of a sudden you get away on somebody. But generally, in a match like 1500 up, you get your chances to get back into the match. So, as I say, he's only 70 in front now, so still early days.
That's one of the arts of the game, is sitting out, being able to sit out for sometimes half an hour and then switch straight back on when you come to the table.
Yes, confidence in your own ability to be able to get back in it,
Yeah.
no matter what the situation, really.
44.
This referee's a little bit unique. He's one of our best billiards referees, but he's just been selected to represent Australia at Masters level in a pool tournament later
Yes.
this year.
Yes, he's quite a good pool player, Neil, and loves his billiards too, and the refereeing. He's I don't know too many better referees than Neil.
No.
He does his best for the players' pace, throws the ball back quicker when he needs to, and he's on the ball very well. So
He's very popular with the players. The
Very
players all
popular,
respect
yes.
his abilities. Neil will be one of the referees officiating in the World Billiards Championship that'll be in Melbourne in October.
yes, and everybody's welcome to come along and have a look at that. Should be a wonderful event, Jason.
I think it'll be one of the best billiards championships ever at such a magnificent club.
Yes, and all the players that come over will be looked after, and they'll feel at home in the city of Melbourne and not being able to do other things when you're not on the table.
Absolutely. Melbourne's a city of more than 5 million people. The venue for the World Championships right in the centre of Melbourne. It's probably 100 bars within walking distance, if that's your cup of tea. It is mine.
Sounds funny, Jason. A bar or your cup of tea? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
It's walking distance to Crown Casino, the Yarra, the river. Lots and lots of restaurants. Melbourne has a vibrant Chinatown, that's not far away.
Yes, it's certainly all there in front of you.
70.
And the venue itself has about 5 different restaurants and cafes. It's a magnificent building.
Meanwhile, Sourav Kothari here looks very comfortable
He's
with his top of the table.
approaching his second baulk line crossing morning.
77.
Now on 180, so we'll have just been warned about the baulk line crossing. He's looking very comfortable.
He'll probably go through baulk this time, I think. He looks like he's just got enough angle.
No, he's shaping up to play the cannon again, I think.
Yeah, maybe he wanted a little bit more angle, but he could still do it. But the table's quite quick, so
True, yes.
yes, I think he's going to do it now.
Yep.
Yes. One thing you don't want to do, Jason, as you know, is leave it to when you're getting 190, mid 190s, and you start to, you're under pressure to,
I haven't had that problem yet.
or even the mid 90s even, but.
Oh, it's a lovely shot.
Yes, that's where his snooker prowess and potting get him out of trouble.
Looks like he might have just gone half a ball too far. He might put a little bit of soft screw on this. He may have to go in off this and put it up over the middle pocket.
Yes, well done. He's certainly looking good so far.
Yeah, this is the first time
Good
he's left the top in 190 points, which is good going. It's the 200 break. He's chipped that yellow up nicely. He'll put that cue ball up to play the cannon from behind again. This is still floating white, not quite as precise as how he had it before, but he could correct that in just a couple of shots.
Yeah, it's just been a very impressive break so far, from what I've seen. He wasn't happy with the contact there, so I'm not sure what happened there. But he's still in good position. Yeah, the white's travelled up the table a little bit, so he's got to get quite high on the up the table here to make the cannon easier. Which he has done.
It's very nice.
Little left-hand side here.
11.
It's a little bit low on that one. He's probably fine. But
Yes, he didn't quite get into that one. And that's how delicate this is, Jason. It's just a little shot, half an inch here and there, can create a huge problem.
yes, he's now playing this shot from 5 feet away instead of 1 foot away.
Well, he'll make the shot, there's no doubt, but it's the result of it that can go wrong.
It's hard to tell. He may not have much angle on the red here. He's looking to whether to leave himself a little cannon or possibly the cross loser. Hard to tell.
Looks like he's screwing it back to the other side, which is, oh no. nothing fancy, just making sure he's. He could be playing across these too. I think you're right. Yeah.
That's one of the standard half-ball billiard shots that people are taught when they first learn the game. Whether you're a 20 break player or a 1,000 break player, you must have that shot in your repertoire.
Well, the shot he just played for in off the red, that's the key billiard shot of all time, really. That is the shot you go to when nothing else might be
Absolutely.
on, and because you can manoeuvre the ball basically anywhere on the table. Yes, he's had a couple of minor hiccups here, but it's been basically pretty well controlled, and Peter wouldn't mind getting back to the table in the next few minutes, hopefully. And
Yes, it's starting to look dangerous, this break.
as you say, he's Sourav is showing a lot of fighting qualities in long matches and has been able to produce his best towards the end. So Peter's going to have to be on.
Yes.
Peter's going to have to take his chances when he gets them.
Sourav was in another well-known match in Melbourne a few years ago, playing one of Australia's best players. The match went 7.5 hours, and Sourav maintained his focus right through that match and ended up winning the deciding frame.
Well, there you go. He's got a good reputation in close matches. So.
And he was quite happy. The other player is known for playing a bit of safety. Sourav was quite happy to play safety in return. Didn't lose his patience. There's a lot of players that just wouldn't do that.
I think the idea of when it becomes like that is to enjoy the battle of minds.
Yes, yeah.
It's like, well, if that's the shot you're confronted with, you have to play a certain shot in reaction to what's been played on you. And once you start losing your cool, your opponent likes to see that, and he's almost got you in that situation. So
Peter Gilchrist, by comparison, has a different attitude to the game. Peter's achieved everything there is to achieve at the game. Has the world record, multiple world champion. He likes to enjoy the game. He doesn't enjoy safety battles. He'll play a few shots, but as soon as he sees something that's a chance, he'll have a go.
Yes, I've seen Peter make it was only an 80 break yesterday, and he was in trouble on quite a few occasions, recovery shots, and his ability to be able to think of recovery shots and be able to make them is second to none. Thanks, Peter. He just second to none. So
you could hear that voice. That was Peter Gilchrist. He's gotten out of his chair to stretch his legs and come into the commentary room, which is not a bad idea.
Yes, well, we've all got
not the coming into the commentary room bit, but the getting out of your chair every now and then.
Well, Jason, I certainly know myself. I've had a lot of breaks made on me, and while it's good to watch as far as spectators go, I don't like to watch too much and strain my eyes looking at the table and start death riding my opponent trying to miss. I mean, they miss, and once you start getting involved in their game as well as your own, you're using up too much mental energy.
That's right.
So I think it's a good idea to switch off a bit and look away even,
Those players who have spent any time with sports psychologists, sitting out is one of the things they cover. The ability to relax when you're not at the table and then switch back on. You can't be mentally up for 5 hours. You have to relax every now and then. You have to let your mind switch off and then switch back on.
Oh, for sure. And while Sourav's making this break, it's like he's still using petrol, so to speak. He's using mental energy while he's doing all this, you know. That's why a lot of players can make quite a large break, and then next time to the table they don't seem to make much. It's because they've just used a hell of a lot of concentration.
Sourav's just had his third baulk line crossing warning. He may even be thinking about doing it here.
Oh, he would definitely be doing it here. He's got way too much angle even to hold the top, so he's only concentrating on where to land the white ball when he comes down the table here. Oh, he's just a smart shot, really. He just
That is a
landed
smart
that side
shot.
of the table.
Anywhere that side of the table's fine. That's a good shot. It's so hard to chip that white back up in front of your own cue ball. So easy to do, I mean. It's hard. He's just checking to see whether he's covered the spot with the yellow. We can't really tell from here. May go around the table again unless the red's done spot on the pink. There we go. That shot looks easy, but you have to be very careful to miss those top pockets. If you catch a jaw on the top pockets, it's end of break.
Once you hit the jaws, anything can happen.
Now, this is the first time he's really been in trouble here. He may go in off the red. Oh no, slow cannon.
He's missed. I think he's missed that. Tried to be just a little bit too cute.
He did.
And
290 break.
the break's finished on 290. Very nice contribution from Sourav, and let's put the onus back on Peter here.
Yes, I thought he might have gone in off the red there. That looked very missable, that cannon.
I think the mistake he made there, Jason, was he tried, rather than, he could have probably made the cannon easy enough, but and hit it a bit thinner than he wanted to.
Yeah.
He's hit it. He thought he'd graze the yellow and keep it in a good spot, but he's broken down. So
And this is a tough pot for Peter if he plays this pot. He hasn't had a shot for 20 minutes or so.
I don't think he's got much choice here to play this. As you say, it's got to be played pretty well. He has to get through the white red. He can't just dribble it. He's got to get through it. So he's got another shot. That's right. Got through it enough.
Good
I think.
shot. Yeah, it's tough when you've got a difficult shot. You've been sitting down for 20 minutes and then you've got quite a tough pressure pot along the rail.
Yes, handled it very well.
So he's left himself a little bit short, I think, of the cross loser. I can't tell if he's got a run through cannon. Might be playing the cannon off the side cushion, is he?
I don't think he's got
He's
the
missed
side
it.
on it, no.
No. Oh, the red's gone in the middle.
Oh, he's had a bit of luck there, Peter. He's fluked the red, and I'm not sure if he would apologise but he would have been very happy to see the red go in, I can tell you.
Most of the players these days seem to just do the hand wave rather than saying I'm sorry.
Yeah, well,
We all know you're not really sorry.
same kind of thing, but
The hand wave sort of just recognises you've had a bit of luck.
having had that fluke, I'm sure Peter would still be happy to go on and make a 400 break, actually. So
This is a cannon off the top cushion. Got to make sure that the other guy's ball doesn't come down and hit your ball before you reach the red.
now I'd say
Now, pot in the middle and he's away at the top. I think Peter will take the pot on. Some people
pot in
will
the
play
middle
the
looks
screwback
too-
cannon.
Look, this
looks-
is all about your confidence here. Now,
Well, he has played the screwback cannon.
I think Kothari would have potted the red there,
Yes.
but Peter's obviously not as confident with his
Now, this might
Plotting
be a
at the
nice
moment.
shot here. This might be cushion white, cushion red. I can't see that. I don't think he's got a clear line at the red, has he? Or he must have, the way he's lining it up.
Yes, he
Yes.
said it was okay.
17.
He's not quite right yet, but he's close to having them at top of the table and a chance to return Sourav's break. The white ball's quite close to the cushion, but he really wants to get in behind it here if he can. Chip it up away from the cushion.
22.
Not much angle on the red.
Right hand side required on this one. Just bring it over a bit, yes.
28.
There's that shot we mentioned before when you end up with very little angle on the red. The 3-6-9, we sometimes call it pot red 3 in off the red 6, and now he's got another pot red for 9.
Yes,
One of the
3-6.
building blocks of break making. An Indian player called Gilchrist, legend of the game, used to play postman's knock, and in one of his big breaks, someone told me he played 20 3-6-9 shots. Every time he left himself straight on the red. He scored 180 points in 3-6-9s.
Yeah, well, the great Geet was I first seen in 1987, and he it was basically all postman's knock, and made it a 750 break doing that. And
This is tricky here. He would have to hit that red very thin with a little bit of right hand side to make the cannon coming across.
yeah, I don't think he'll have too much trouble getting this shot, really.
This could end
There's
up beautifully.
Small margin for error, but he should be okay. Yeah, good shot.
Yeah, good shot.
37.
Still a bit of work to do. Looks like he might have a soft screw back from the white to gather them again.
I think he'll be pushing. I would think he's going to push the white near the hole so he can go on off
Oh
the
yeah,
white.
you're probably
No,
right
he's
now.
not.
Or he's just looking for a shot called the slip through, where you play a thin cannon off both balls.
He's going to play in off the white next shot, I'll guess.
39.
No, I'm wrong again.
Wrong again.
But don't cover yourself, Peter.
I've probably watched him play more recently than you have, so I've got a bit of a feel for what he's going to do. He's very good at this, Peter, just keeping the two balls close and tap for a few cannons until a nice opportunity turns up to develop the break. Now he's going to go in off the white, leave himself a drop cannon.
Now he's going to play the shot that I thought he was going to play
Yes.
earlier. But it's only a wrong shot when you can't score the next shot. That's basically it. With billiards, there's a variety of things you can do. Other players prefer to play in-offs and others cannons and that. So there was a player going back in Lyndham's day called George Gray, who was a renowned hazard player, in-off, and could make massive breaks doing that. So
I was contacted last week by a guy who has George Gray's cue case. That's
Oh,
been
there you-
authenticated. It was presented to George Gray in 1908 by Alcock's, the billiards table manufacturer, when they had an office in New Zealand. And George Gray was over there. It's in absolutely original condition. You wouldn't use it for your cue case. It's a borderline museum piece.
right,
The person was looking for a little bit of advice as to best way to proceed to sell it and what it might be worth.
well, that's amazing. It's shown up actually, Jason.
Fantastic.
You know,
It's solid hardwood. It takes 2 full-size cues, 3 balls, and about 6 blocks of chalk. They all have their own individual compartments. It's lined with felt, which has seen better days because it's 110 years old. Some of the hinges and clasps on the case have seen better days, but it's a fantastic piece. There's a few George Gray fans around that love the open style of play. I'm sure they'd love to own that.
yes, well, not just the open style of play in George, it's the fact that he was in Lindrum's era and would have competed against Walter many times. It's like that in itself is worth something. And
Yes.
I know that Walter Lindrum's case was a work of art as well, right, Jason? That, with the leather and his name stamped on it. So, yes, that will that should go for a couple of dollars that case, I would imagine.
So Peter's just potted the red twice off the spot, and it goes up into the middle, in case there's anyone watching that doesn't know the rules. At various stages in the history of billiards, there's been different times. There was a point where you could pot the red 3 times off the spot. There was a brief period where you could pot it 5 times off the spot. The number of consecutive hazards you could play, that's without a cannon, has been 15 and 25 and unlimited.
71.
So the current world record, which is Peter's at 1,346, is under the current set of rules, which is 75 cannons, 15 hazards, 2 pots off the spot.
Yes, well, the rules you just mentioned, I think they've been around for a fair while now, and I think they're probably the best at the moment. Like,
I think so. I'd like to see an extension of the cannons to make nursery cannon play more appealing. It's almost a dying art.
well, that's not a bad point actually, because not many people can play 75 cannons anyway.
That's right.
So why wouldn't you extend it and encourage people
Yes.
to be able
There's
to play?
plenty of players. Look, Peter can play nursery cannons. Martin Goodwill's very good with nursery cannons, but a maximum of 150 points is not appealing compared to top of the table. They'll generally gather the balls on the top rail and just play a few nurseries until they can turn it into top of the table.
Yes.
10 hazards. Or 1 more.
Yes, it's not like someone can grab hold of nursery cannons and all of a sudden score 500 points, you know, so
That's right.
They should increase it. Yeah.
Now, Peter's doing here is just having a bit of a loosener, playing a few in off the whites to see what turns up. I don't think he had a really specific plan there. These tables are throwing very wide with the new 6-8-1-1 Koth, so people aren't enjoying playing the long loser off the red, and certainly not bringing it round off 3 cushions very often.
Yes, well, I've noticed most of the top players, Jason, are playing the slower in off the middle spot
Yeah, definitely.
rather than bring it around, which obviously when you put pace on the ball or the cloth, things can go wrong a little bit if you don't quite catch it right.
He's on the half ball line for the in off the red. Now he's in good shape. He's got the white over 1 middle pocket. If he can get that red up into what's called the magic circle, he could be in top in 3 or 4. Oh, he's proved me wrong. He's going to set up a drop cannon. Now, Peter's on 90. I don't think he's crossed the baulk line.
92.
So he's now got to develop something.
Well, that's interesting.
That sort of snuck up on us. 92, he's got quite a problem here. Although he has manufactured some of the most extraordinary baulk line crossings in his day. 94.
Well, I'm pretty sure he'll be putting the red over the hole here, and then
Yes. What he doesn't want is that red to jaw and leave him no angle. This is why he's taking a bit of time over this shot, because it's getting crucial here for him to have an opportunity to cross that baulk line.
96.
Now he's got a problem. He's got 94 to go,
96.
so okay, he can pot the red here and just leave the ball in baulk, then go on off the white.
He'll have to, I think. It's tricky, it's quite a thin
Fine
pot.
cut, but he's only got to make the red and he'll be okay. I know, he's hit it hard. Well, I'm surprised he hit it that hard because
99. Baulk line cross.
I think we'll
The next
see a
shot's hard,
forcing
yeah.
cannon here. But this
Yeah.
is a dangerous shot. You can't really control where the balls go.
oh, a very good shot.
101.
Very well controlled, well thought out.
Needs that red to die. Beautiful. Yeah, he's very good shape now. Just past 100.
I don't think you could pick up that and put it in any better spot, really, the way he played that. It's a fantastic shot. A lot better than what it looked.
6.
Yeah, that's in the perfect posie for a drop cannon. Well, nearly perfect. Peter's made 100 break without really having control of the balls here. Just
Screw
keeping
back off the
them in
white ball
play.
here, I would say.
Nice drop on the red. Oh,
He's had a good result there.
he's nearly unlucky.
Just little things here and there make so much difference.
May have to run through this red.
Well, yeah, he's got to run through. You can either make a cannon and going off, or he's
Oh, no, he's going to pot the red. Oh, and he's left himself on the middle pocket cross loser line.
13.
Got a bit of work to do to get that white away from the jaws, though, at some stage in the break.
16.
I think he's underhit that a little bit.
Yeah. He'll be making contact with the white ball on the, as we see it, on the right-hand side here. No, well, not quite enough on the right. Now he's got a problem. That's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
But
I think we might see pot white in safety here.
This
There's
could be
not a
end
lot
of-
of options.
I think this is just about the end of the break. If he can recover the white ball, which I don't think he can, he might make a cannon, but unless he goes in off it,
100.
that's a fantastic shot.
That's a great shot.
Well, now we can recover it. Now we can get the white ball inside the ball near the jaws there. It's going to have to be very delicate.
Geez, he may play a few middle pocket losers here to rack up a few easy points. Well, easier.
24.
This is something of this called latent defensive aspect. That ball's in an awkward position down there. Peter did have an opportunity to play a few easy reds without too much pressure. He's just trying to work out how he's going to make a cannon off that white and not pot it.
Yes, he's got to play a few more shots yet to get that opportunity.
Yes, I think he should play a few more reds, but what would I know? He may be setting up for the cannon here. as well.
Oh, he's done well.
Done well.
Well kept out.
He may have a run through in off the white here. It's hard to tell whether the double kiss is on. No, it must be on. It's a slightly thin cross loser. He'll play this a little bit thin, a little bit of check.
It's been quite an adventurous break from Peter.
It has. 132, and he's still not really had them under control at any point.
He's been all over the place, which can happen, but it's a sign of a great player too, being able to still keep on scoring.
Putting the wide in and out of baulk. May have gone a touch too far, or maybe it's okay. If he can, he'll drop this white down towards the spot and leave a red to white drop cannon.
Yeah.
These red to white drop cannons are much less
I've
dangerous than the other ones.
Yes, and I noticed that Peter generally doesn't put the white too close to the cushion,
Correct, yes.
with more chance of getting a smother when they do that. So he brings
Or
it off the
sometimes
cushion.
you put it on the cushion and then you replace it with your ball and leave yourself on the cushion.
That's right.
Needs a good kiss there. No, it isn't quite right for him. Got the option of a cannon, but I think the in-off white will be preferable, and then another drop cannon. Not one of his better drop cannons, that one. I think we'll see a heavy stun cannon here and put the red up and down the table. See if he's got enough room to cue at it. Or he doesn't want that red to knock the white in. Tempting to play a dead slow in off the white here, just like that.
Yes.
I'd play this with drag, play it nice and soft. Yeah, played a lot of drag on that one.
Yeah, double kiss there.
I think we'll
Looks like
see another double
shot
kiss
here.
cannon
Yes.
here.
Push the white ball along further.
Now we're talking about nursery cannons. He's got an opportunity to play a few here. That's 3 consecutive cannons. 4, 5. These are almost rocker cannons. 6. Oh, that went nasty. He'll control this screw. This is bread and butter for these top players. Red into the magic circle. That's what we call that area where you can pot or going off into the middle pockets. He may try and run through this down to get perfect position to bring that white to top of the table. It's a pretty good margin for error. Looks a little bit hard.
64.
Needs to pot this red. These are missable when you're a little bit near the cushion. You should be able to handle it all right, but good shot, well cued.
That's a good pot. Peter has made 3 1-4-7 breaks at snooker. None in competition, but all of them witnessed. We were talking the other day about what sort of aspirations some of these top guys still had. Peter's achieved everything in billiards. He said he'd love to make a 1-4-7 in competition in snooker.
Oh, okay. and that's fair enough too. I know that while the 147 is a bit of an achievement, I know that there'd be lesser players than Peter that have made a 147.
Absolutely.
But to make it in competition, that's when it gets so much harder, because in practice you can actually play for 147 every frame you play when you're having a hit.
Yeah, he's on 170 and he's got an opportunity to get to top of the table really for the first time in the break. He'll get a baulk line crossing warning soon.
Walk on warning.
Frank Humphries from Western Australia has just joined the spectators. Frank's a former Australian champion and he's been runner-up a number of times. He just disappeared before I could lean on him to do some commentating.
Oh, another former Australian champion has moved in the room, Joe Manucci.
Joe Manucci's just joined the crowd.
Hello Joe, how are you going?
So this is Jason Colebrook. I'm going to take a break. I'm handing over to Joe Manucci. He's won Australian Billiards Championships, Oceania Billiards Championships, and a hell of a nice guy and an interesting chap to talk to.
97.
Hello Joe, welcome to the commentary box, mate.
Hi. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, it's good to be here, mate. I enjoyed my time playing, like we all do. We love the game of billiards. It's great to see that these great players have come to Australia and supporting this great game, and for us to, give it a bit of exposure of their talents and how this game's played at the highest level. I think we all know the good players in Australia know what they're doing, but we just can't do it as successfully as they do. So it's great to watch.
Yes, well, Peter being 3 times world champion and his opponent actually beating him in the most recent world championship, which I must say was a surprise to a lot of people, and but he done it, and so
yeah, he's definitely stepped up another level.
Yeah,
Sourav.
Sourav has definitely stepped up, and this is what it's done is it's created a little bit more interest in the match, knowing that Peter won't have things his own way.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
He's got to beat a bloke who's at the top of his form and had a great win over him in a major tournament, the biggest you can get. So
yeah, I totally agree. Well, on paper, Peter's definitely the favourite, to win from the beginning of this tournament. He just won in Canada, big tournament over there, and we know the class the man's got. Absolute gentleman too. His height helps as well, which I wish I had a bit more, but. Yeah, the only bloke living to have made 2 1000s in competition, so, his ability is unquestioned by anyone. Oh, he's missed that one.
he's missed it. 200 break.
200.
And
He's got back in there.
211 and back to within 6 points.
Not a great lead for Sourav. He might have to pot him here and double baulk him.
Yes. Defensive play coming up here.
Unless he's got a gap and he wants to have a go at the long red, you know, run through and going off the yellow, but I can't see the gap he's got behind the yellow. Ooh, too much topspin. Oh, he's got it too thick. What do you think?
Well, I thought he should have played off the cushion myself, it being the white ball.
I thought he did, but I thought he got it too thick. No, I thought he did play off the cushion, but he still got it too thick. I think he should have got a bit thinner. Yeah. It's not the best way to play the double baulk, that shot, because you don't know.
Because he wants that to bounce.
Yeah, you don't know exactly where the red's going to finish, and he's left it pretty straight, so it's not conducive for Sourav to start a break.
Yeah. Peter will be saying to himself, well, if you can pot the red and get position off it, well,
Yeah.
you deserve it.
Yeah, he'll
So-
screw back here off the red. He'll try to leave the long cannon, I would imagine, when the red's back on the billiard spot. He could also pot him again, pot the yellow, play another double baulk and leave the red in a better position for Sourav to start a break. Yeah, he's tried to get round to that side. I think he's clipped the jaw, hasn't he, a little bit there?
Yeah, it was a difficult shot.
Yeah.
I can't see him playing it in that tech. He'll be playing safe here.
Yeah, he probably will because he's more seasoned than I am. I would have played the stun cannon of the yellow, but
Yeah, well,
that's why I'm not in the final.
Well, mate, and you're likely to get it too, Joe.
There's a big gap there, mate.
Yeah, one of those players, all of a sudden, where'd that come from? And,
Yeah, but
entertaining the crowd.
yeah, that's right. I don't
That's
think
it,
it's the
yeah.
right way to play, but these guys, they know the shots a lot better
Well,
than I
so
do to match shots, match play.
Sometimes
Oh, he's under. Jeez, what's he done there? He's hit it a bit thin. He's indicating where the red went on that side of the table. He's got that a bit thin. So I think he had enough power in it to get the in off.
in off the red here. Not
Yeah.
easy.
No, awkward queuing, isn't it? Yeah.
but one he probably should get, I think.
Oh, I don't know. It's
I think
all
it's
about his
about
balance and his body. He's got to get his body balanced.
7 out of 10, I'd say.
Yeah,
He'd make this.
Because when you follow through on these shots, sometimes your body can revert back to a different position and you'll hit either thick or thin on the red.
Yeah.
So he's got to get balanced in his body, which looks very awkward. Yeah, so that's what I mean. That's what happens to me. You get them too thick or too thin when you're not
go.
comfortable.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I've lost 5 kilo actually, believe it or not. I want to lose another 5 and then I might increase my breaks from 50s to 100s.
Well, we know you can make it 300, Joe, so, it's not happening as much.
No, that's right. Yeah, but it's partly Rex is behind me, Rex Swain, and he just mentioned something about my weight, and which was pretty appropriate too, but I am addressing it. And yeah, keep reminding me, Rex, that it'll motivate me to lose a bit more. That's a nice shot. That's a nice shot there. He's got them together, so he
I
can
think
do.
Peter might be playing it very thin off the white here.
Yeah,
The white where it is, or just push it down a fraction.
Yep. Yeah, he wants a shot off the red
So-
here, then off preferably, or run through for a cross loser, Dave. What do you think, off the red?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, you're right, he's got the white right. He's got the right white where he wants it to push down behind the spot. Just got to bring the red up.
it's all right. I mean, up for a pot would be ideal, but all depends how he sees it. Yeah, it was
Oh,
a
he's
bit-
actually played with a drop
it was
cannon
a-
here.
It was a bit wide.
Has he played for a drop cannon, do you think, or not?
I'd say he'll play. I don't think he'll play a long loser when he can play for a drop cannon here, because the long loser being a missable shot.
But I think he wanted to bring the red further down towards the black spot, didn't he, to play a drop? But
yeah,
he'll set one up
he'll
here.
still play a drop from.
Set it up better
there you go,
position.
yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't
No,
quite
it's
got it
not- no,
right.
it's not quite
He wants
right.
the white more in the middle of the table, if he can. Or even close to the red, really close where he can just drop the white down and cannon the red. He still hasn't got it right. He's going to have to bring the white off the side
Still, it's
cushion.
not bad.
Yeah.
Might have to have a bit of left-hand side on this to
Yeah,
make it
create
come
the
back
angle. Yeah, yeah,
to get it behind the spot.
yeah. Well, this is what these top players are very good at. You know, Marshall was the best I ever saw at the second ball contact on a cannon, especially a drop cannon. I saw Bob Marshall play in '86 when he beat Phil Tarrant in the final up at Toronto, Newcastle, New South Wales, and you know, it's just indelibly printed in my mind. Marshall playing cannons, and his second ball contact was the best I've ever seen in my life, you know, because as we know, you know, the better players know that we're aiming for half a ball on the second ball of the cannon.
Yes.
You know, generally that's what we're doing. But Marshall, he was hitting it, you know, it was monotonous regularity. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, the way Marshall played his cannons. It was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Bit of a slip up there, Peter.
Mm.
Caught the red a little bit too thin.
Yeah.
Marshall was, yes, definitely great all-round player.
Yeah.
Multiple
Shot
world
maker.
champion.
Yep, definitely.
Master of the drag shot,
Yep.
what I've seen as well. And
Great potter too. He won the Australian snooker as well,
Yeah, exactly.
as Matthew has done. They both won one Australian snooker championships. Matthew could have won two. The first time he made the final, he led Robbie Folvari, and Folvari wore him down a bit at RACV. I think it was about 10 years ago. But Matthew's going for Bob's record of 21 Australians, and he's on track to do it. He's got age on his side, Matthew, and he's got the talent. So I think he's definitely going to eclipse another record of Bob's, which he's already beaten Bob's high break with a 7:36, I think it was, and then a couple of years ago he made an 8:09 with the Australian.
he's actually in a good position here, Peter. He's the balls are wide apart, but he
Yeah, there's a good contact on the red though, because these can go funny, can't they, Dave? You know, depending where you hit the red here.
The red's slightly off the cushion, which gives him margin for error. So it's just
Yeah, true.
a slow shot.
Yeah, well, he's clever. See, that's the experience. So he's played it as slow as he could play it. He's also
Yeah,
positioned
couldn't
the
go
white
wrong.
beautifully. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, he should be at top of the table in 3 shots if everything goes well here. But sometimes, you know, you play a shot incorrectly and you might have to add an extra shot. Yeah, he wanted in off in the middle of the red or a pot red.
Bringing it back up the table, I would say.
Do you think he'll put it behind the spot? That's what I was just going to say. Do you think
No,
he'll put it?
no.
He won't. He bring it back up. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Because if the red was potable, he probably would have. But
Yeah.
Yeah, he can work it here.
Yeah, I thought he might play the long loser on the red and then position it for a middle. But yeah, I think you're right. He's definitely done the right thing because there's a bigger margin for error.
Yeah, the long losers can be tricky too. So.
I'll be honest with you, I don't think Peter's on top of his game with these type of shots. I've seen him play some in offs now in the middle, and he's not getting the weight right. So when he does, yeah, he's going to be a bigger force.
Yeah,
in
we just
this
playing the
final.
long loser, the long hand off, which he had been reluctant to.
Yeah. But he's always got a chance of a cannon anyway if it goes wrong with where the white is, I think. He's actually played for the drop now. Looks like he's played for the drop. Yeah. Yeah, but he's got to get this white thicker, doesn't he, with a bit of check side, Dave. Try to
Yes.
straighten the white
A
up.
lot of
a
right
bit.
hand side.
Ooh, he's nearly got the cover. No, he's all right. Right,
Yes.
Played that well.
Could be in for a close final here, Joe.
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
It's,
definitely. I've actually predicted Peter make a 700 in this final, but yeah, it's yet to be seen. But no, you can't discount Sourav. He's definitely a different level. I mean, I actually beat the guy in Adelaide about 7 years ago, and he's 3 times the player. You know, I wouldn't be able to live with him now. He's making consistent 200 breaks now, you know, and
Yeah.
in the old days, you know, he might make the occasional 200, but now he's making consistent 200s. I think he's had about five or six in this tournament alone.
57.
He's tried to leave the in off the white here, and
He
he's
might
got to
be
run
able to-
through
might
it.
be able to put this behind the spot show off 2 or
Yeah.
3 cushions.
But I got a feeling he wanted to leave it thin for a thin in off, but he's had to play
I know.
the run through, so he'll just bring it back up again. And he wants to leave the red there, doesn't he, Dave? You know, for the pot when he gets the white behind
Yeah,
the spot.
if things go bad, but he's working. He's not panicking. He's not trying to do too much or.
Oh, that could be in the middle. No, he's all right. He's all right as
That's
it's
what
turned
can
out.
happen.
Yeah. It's a rub of the green, they call it. So that's the difference between me and Peter. You know, like Peter's far better player, shot maker and shot selection. I would have run through that and tried to put it behind the spot from the position he just had with some check side. But he chose to bring it up and go in off it clean and put the white behind the spot.
But see, that's the beauty of billiards show is we've all got our own
Yeah, exactly.
ways to go about things. It doesn't mean they're wrong.
No,
It's how,
Yeah,
it's
it's
how
your
we
method.
see the shot and how we
Yeah.
feel about it
it's your method. Well, actually,
and how we execute it. We're confident doing it.
yeah,
We do it, you know.
what you're comfortable with, yeah. Well, I've actually learnt to play through Walter Lindrum's book, and when I first started, and Walter actually says that he doesn't want to see stereotype billiards. You know, he said 100 break. He said 100 break is made with all different shots. Like no player will play the same shots in 100 break if they start from a certain position. And I think you're dead right, Dave. It's an individual game, like most sports are.
Exactly right.
But you play to your strengths, mate, like you say, you know, like Peter knows his strengths better than anyone, you know. He's such a magnificent match player. I mean, there's a bloke called David Corsier in England, you know, it hasn't come over, but that guy, he definitely plays to his strengths, you know. He's all round the table guy, you know. He just ad-libs, but he knows what he's good at, and he's very good at it. And they look low percentage, a lot of shots that David Corsier plays, but he's so good at them. So that just confirms that, you know, it's an individual's game, you know. You don't have to go by the book. There's no real book in billiards. It's just
right.
5 shots in front of you, and it depends which shot is better for position and what you prefer.
And David Corsier is a bit of a scoring machine,
Yeah,
and he does things a little bit different,
exactly.
but he knows the game, and he's comfortable playing his way, and
And
he's a very hard man to beat.
And unusually, David, with what I've seen of him, I've only seen him play live once, and that was in India, but he doesn't score very heavy at the top of the table. He knows top, obviously,
Yeah.
but he hasn't got a clinical game at top of the table. A bit like Bob Marshall in a way, you know, where he's a bit everywhere around top of the table, but when he gets there, you know, he might make 50 or whatever, and then goes away, then comes back, makes another 70 or 80, and so it's all about scoring, you know. If you just keep your concentration and scoring, you know, it's in billiards, I think that's the most powerful weapon you can have in billiards. Once you've got the talent, is the concentration to keep the break going. Oh, he hasn't got that quite right. He wanted to get the red a bit thinner there.
Wouldn't be happy with that shot.
So he's got to play a good recovery here. Very thin on the red, maybe. Leave the red for an in-off. Oh no. Oh, he's pushed the wide out,
Oh,
trying to go in off the
beautiful
wide.
shot.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Has he pushed it far enough, do you think?
Yes.
Yeah, he has. Okay. I can't tell on the screen.
beautiful
Yeah,
shot.
you're right. Yep. That's actually a shot
And it wasn't that easy a shot when he played.
No.
He controlled it very well.
Marshall used to play those thin in-offs like that brilliantly. He used to push the red up over the middle and then pop the red, come back down, and I'll never forget that, as well as those cannons I was saying on the second ball contact. Marshall used to play. He was
Well,
great
the great
at those.
Bob Marshall, Joe, as you know, made the final of the World Billiards Championship at age 76, I think.
It was actually 85. Yeah, he was 80. He was 85 years old. Yeah.
When he was 76 years of age. Wasn't 80. It wasn't. I don't think it was 1985.
Yeah. Well,
I
in
don't think it was-
1985 they played in Tasmania and he beat Phil Tarrant in the final, and Phil Tarrant was defending champion. Or actually, Robbie won
hang
2.
on.
Remember, Robbie Falbari
80.
won 2. Yeah. I was 85 because I'll tell you why I was 85, because it was in Toronto. No, 80. I apologise. 86 was in Toronto, and he was 76 then.
76. That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying. He was
yeah.
76 when he played in the world title final.
But when he came out of retirement after 15 years, I was told, in 85 he played in Tasmania, and he won the Australian. He won his state title. He came out of 15-year retirement, Bob Marshall, and
Yes.
and he won it. And Geet actually told me himself, Geet Sefi. Geet was 23-year-old, and he played Bob in 85, and I think it was in Delhi, New Delhi or something, where they played. And you know what Geet said? He said, "You wouldn't believe it, Joe. He led me first session." And Geet in that championship had a 760 break. And he was the up-and-coming youngster, which he proved that, he was an incredible force in billiards later on. But he said that Bob, at 75-year-old, actually led him the first session, and I think that's just remarkable.
Well, the fact he was in the final was remarkable.
Well, sorry.
And beating world champions on
Beat
the way.
Agrawal, I believe. Believe he beat Subhash Agrawal in the semi, someone said, yeah, and he was a great player too, yeah.
Like, that's freakish as far as sport goes.
Well, there's hope for you and I, mate. There's hope for you and I. Yeah, he did it at 75.
well,
He was a bit
maybe
more
you-
talented than us, I suppose.
Maybe you, mate, but not me, I can tell you.
Just eat your veggies, mate.
But remarkable player.
Look after yourself. As we get older, we've got to look after our health. That's the big thing. Yeah. All right, so what's he on here? 109. A bit sorry, people listening. We've been talking too much about other things.
You have, haven't you, Joe? Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm a bit of a talkaholic. They reckon that I could put 3 billiard balls in my mouth and not get a cannon. That's what I've been told. Yeah, so he's taken the lead from nearly 200 behind Peter. Half an hour ago, he's now in front by 100. So this is the class of the man. But I'm sure Sourav's got, more things to come from him.
Well, Peter knows he's in a fight because Sourav has, made a couple hundred break before, and obviously he's such a good player now that Peter knows that he has to produce.
Yeah. I think Sourav, you know what I think what's happened with Sourav? I think his mental toughness is far better now. I really believe that with Sourav. And it was proven through winning the snooker as well. He won that the snooker tournament leading up to this.
Well, for sure, he's got so much confidence now, I would say, and it's the best thing in the world you can have is confidence.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Once you got the talent, yeah. Well, the interesting fact that we haven't touched on is in the snooker tournament that was on, the Reventon Classic, Sourav beat Peter 4-0. 4-0, I think it was with the quarters. Beat him 4-0. So I think that Peter's, wants to get a little bit of revenge back for that loss.
Well, not just, okay, that was the snooker, but it was still the fact that the chap beat him, and, I'm sure Peter would love to get one back on the Sourav at the latest meetings, because
that's what I think.
He's had the better of him, so.
Yep. Yeah, I can remember a couple of close calls that Sourav should have beat Peter and he didn't. And that's where I'm alluding to the mental toughness side of it. You know, I was present live with one of them where he should have beat him. He led him by a fair way and he let Peter off the hook right at the end. And I mean, we've all done it. But I just believe that Sourav, I've spoken to his dad a fair bit, the great Minaj Kothari,
Yes.
which you know quite well. You had a great match with him in 1998 at the RACV club, where I think you guys made about 7 double centuries in that semi-final. Semi, was it semi? No, quarters. Semi?
Last 16, actually.
Was it? I apologise, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was a 4-hour match or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you led him by a fair way, and I remember he made a few doubles against you, and he just missed out.
Yeah, he made 4 doubles and he made them in quick concession because there wasn't a lot of time left. So
He was running around the table, and it was incredible with Minaj. I remember he used to wear these glasses, these real small round lenses, didn't he?
yes,
Am I right?
he did. Yes.
There's a bloke in this pro snooker circuit that wears small glasses too, Martin Gould. He doesn't wear snooker glasses. But I've been watching that guy, and you know what he does? It's incredible. When he plays long distance shots in snooker, he looks over the lens. He doesn't look through the glasses, and when he's close up, he looks through the lens.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Martin Gould. Yeah, if you ever get a chance to watch that, you'll see.
Interesting. But obviously he's comfortable with what he's wearing and how he sees the ball, and that's what it's all about.
Yep, definitely. 152 now by Peter. So he looks like he's a man on a mission. I'm sure he's got the utmost respect for Sourav.
55.
I think it's great that 3 Indians made the semis, you know, coming over all the way to Australia and proving their talent.
Yes, well, Devaj Haria was another one who just got beat in the semi. He could have been in the final, actually. He's improved.
Sourav, yeah, that's right.
He's improved a hell of a lot, and
He actually finished number 1, I believe, didn't he? After the round robin, I believe he finished number 1 seed
yes,
after the round robin.
yes, he did
In
finish
front of Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just playing probably better than anyone at the time, but he lost a close one, and
He's a great potter too. He beat Steve Mifsud in the Reventon Classic Snooker prior to
Yes.
this. He beat Steve, so, you know, he's a great potter as
yes,
well.
very good potter. In the meantime, Peter just keeps on keeping on here, and
Yep, 166. Well, I predicted a 700. Could this be it?
the funny thing is that he hasn't played a whole lot of top of the table in
No,
in
true.
these breaks he's making, and
True. That's a good point, Dave. Good
so
point, yeah.
his concentration's been fantastic
yeah.
to be able to keep on going
Yeah.
without just playing the top of the table.
Yep, you're spot on, actually. I didn't think of that. So when he does get the balls in control at top, where he wants them, yeah, he'll probably knock in a 200 just at top. Because, as you say, his concentration is very, very good at scoring those recoveries. And he's very disciplined as well. I noticed, like I was saying, he was finishing short on some balls. He was playing it off in the middle, and he wouldn't take any like fancy shots where stupid me would do. He would... he kept to his game plan, and you got to be. That's one thing as a professional, you know, living off the sport. You've got to be very disciplined.
Yeah. Well, he won't be happy there.
No, he wanted to screw that a bit, didn't he? And
Yeah.
he needed a bit lower on the cue ball, I think, and he would have been perfect to get the other side of the red when he got the contact. On the
And that's
red.
all it takes, Joe, is one shot that doesn't go quite right, and next minute, you know, one or two shots,
spot
the
on, Dave.
break could be finished.
Yep,
I
spot
mean,
on.
It could be, but
Well, spot on, because this could go wrong, and then yeah, that's
we
dead
probably leave
right.
it in off the white here, I'd say.
78.
Ooh.
And even that wasn't quite as hard as he wanted. But
I don't know what he'll do, but he could play cushion first for played in off, but I mean with right hand side, but
no,
he'd probably play the cannon off the red, I would have. No, what's he doing? He's running. Can't run through it. He got double kiss, won't he?
Thin enough, I think.
Oh, yeah, can't tell from here. Yeah, spot on, Dave. I can't see the angles. You're better than me on screen seeing angles. To me, that looked like that shot was pretty tough.
But he's negotiated the problem to a certain extent.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
once
that
he's
is-
got an in off, once he's got an in off, he should be able to bring him back in the.
Now he's got to work again like he has been with most of the breaks he's been making.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I
Well, you're
wouldn't
right.
say-
That's a good point, though. I didn't think of that. He hasn't been scoring much at top, and although he's on the 183, so he's obviously had the baulk line crossing warning now. So let's see how he goes about crossing the baulk line.
This definitely hasn't been vintage Peter, but it's been vintage Peter as far as his will to keep
Yeah.
scoring, you know.
Well, you know the story as good as any, mate. You know, you're an ex-Australian and billiards and snooker champion. Winning ugly, sometimes winning ugly, mate. You know, you got to do it, and this is what it is at the moment. Peter's, you know, he's not playing pretty billiards, but he's still scoring, and all he's worried about is winning.
It was a tricky situation again there, and he's negotiated it okay.
Yeah, it's worked out all right, actually. Yeah, you're right. If that white wasn't there and was further up the table or something, it might be a bit trickier, but he's all right. It's worked out good for him.
I'll say one thing for Peter, when he's in a situation where things can get a bit tricky, he never ever panics.
No.
And he considers his options and plays. That's
Well-
why he gets out of so many
Well,
situations.
just for the people out there listening that are not, at the highest level and still learning the game, because we're all learning. I mean, I'm learning, you're learning still, But what you just said about not panicking, that's one of the secrets of billiards. You've got to have the knowledge of what you're doing is correct and just play the shot.
That's right.
But you've got to have that knowledge firsthand and then commit. There's a theory I use that I learned in a psychology book years ago, about 20 years ago, and it's called preparation and commitment is the most important thing. The result is irrelevant to this. And without worrying about the result, there is no pressure, there's no anxiety. So it's all about preparation and commitment. And that's what all champion sportsmen do in all fields, and Peter is one of them. That, like you say, he doesn't panic. He knows, he trusts himself, like you said about self-confidence before, and he delivers.
It's almost like he enjoys making a great shot.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, it gets like an adrenaline buzz out of it. Yeah, you're right. I think you're right, actually. I think we all do, but he probably holds it in. We don't see the emotion, like especially myself.
Certainly you do, that's
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I let it out a bit.
But it's about enjoyment too, as well as you want to win,
But that's what we love billiards, Dave, let's admit it. I mean, those long jennies and short jennies where you rip that side on and then you see the ball zip into the pocket and sometimes you hear it. It's just a great feeling, and
that's why the break that Peter's been making in this match so far is he's had to play so many different shots just to keep things going, and so the viewers can see not just so-called boring top of the table, pot cannon, which isn't easy anyway, but there's so much variety that Peter's showing here. And
that's a very, very good point.
And it's
all-round billiards,
it's
it's a great display of all-round billiards.
It's quite good to watch, actually.
Now, if he makes a 200 here, my 700 prediction might be on the cards here, I'll tell you.
Well, this is where he wanted to be.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Make the break, so.
Exactly. Because this is where his strength is. Even though he's strong, he's really got no weaknesses. Great potter as well. He's got no weaknesses. But this is where his strength is, top of the table.
So you're suggesting that we could be in for a big break here, Joe?
Well, as you alluded to, that he's been scoring like all-round play, and I didn't even think of that. He hasn't been making many points at top. Oh, hang on a minute. Yeah. He's got to play recovery here. He's got a couple of shots he can play.
Spoke too soon here. So
yeah.
This is what can happen when you don't play one shot right.
Yeah, exactly. I've actually, believe it or not, played these shots very thin because I'm crazy. I play thin off the white with left-hand side and get the red coming back, and then I push the three balls together, but the red back to... But I don't think he'll do that. I was actually on. He's... Yeah, okay, a bit of...
Thanks for that, Peter. Why didn't you just do it?
Yeah, act as... Eddie Charlton used to be like that. He used to walk around the table 3 times, making out his shots really difficult, and then just just pot it as easy as anything.
Well, that's just annoying your opponent. Isn't it?
Yeah. I used to, when I used to play Joel Younger in snooker in tournaments. Joel's a great player, absolute one of the best in Australia's ever had, and I used to think he's out of position, just like Peter was there. You know, it looked like Peter couldn't pot that red, and Joel would look, walk around. I say, oh, he's got out of position. He might have a chance. Then all of a sudden he popped the obvious red that was on. You know, so I don't know if that's something that players do. You know, they do on purpose, like as you say, a bit of gamesmanship.
I'll say something in defence for that comment, Joe. I'd probably be almost sure that Joel was more or less worried about his next shot after the pot, the angle on the ball that he's actually on,
right,
rather than him not being on the ball.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's right. Maybe I misinterpreted it.
Because I've never known Joel to play any mind games as far as playing snooker or pool.
Yep. No, I know. He's as honest as they come, mate.
Yeah.
Playing. Yeah, that's for sure. Well, it might be just me, you know, wanting him to miss or something and sort of saying, oh, he's out of position here.
Yeah.
Like we all do. I remember even Peter saying once, you know, they asked him, they said, oh, what do you do when your opponent's at the table making a break? And Peter says, I'm just saying them under my breath, miss.
Well, that's what we're hoping. Miss will get out of position.
Yeah, exactly.
We're there, we've got a cue in our hand, we want to have a hit too, you know.
My old coach.
Sometimes you're waiting and
yeah, and it doesn't happen. Yeah. I remember my old coach, Frank Haywood from City Tats. He used to say to me when an opponent was making a big break against him. He said once in Tasmania he used to just close his eyes, and he said once he actually fell asleep and the opponent missed, and he had to be woken up by the referee.
Well, I know a particular player that.
In trouble here.
He's in trouble now.
Yeah, this might be end of break unless he goes up and down. Dave, what else can you see here?
Well, looking at it on my other screen,
can he run through it?
He can't. There's no way known. In my book, he's got to get
straight run through left-hand side. No, they won't get out of the way. The red won't get out of the way. No,
I don't think so. I think he's got to go up the table.
Up and down.
Which is about. I think up the table is about a 50-50 shot anyway.
Yeah, I saw Geet play one of these in his a shot like this when he made his 800. I think it was in 2001 in New Zealand in the final that he won. He clipped say the red or the white, and he went in off in the middle.
Centre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if Peter would do that.
Yeah, this is a shot. Well, I'm saying I don't know, 6 out of 10. I'll go for the shot.
Yeah, well, you should know the table, I suppose.
Because he's only got to be. There's a reasonable area he can.
You don't want any inadvertent side. He's got this. He's got this. Get out of the way, Pete. He's missed it. Oh, he must have got it thin. Can we have a replay on that, Dan? There's no replays.
I couldn't see that one, but that must have been extremely close.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, in running, it looked good. So what was it, 242? Still, look, that contributes a lot to his lead. It's 229 in front. It's 1,500 up. He's got to run through this, but you've got to be super confident to play this at that distance from the pocket.
The pot's not a hard shot by a dead weight.
Oh, he's going the pot. Yeah, well, he's won that snooker tournament, I suppose.
Because these cushions have just been reclothed, so it's.
But for a billiard player, to be honest with you, I believe the in-off's better for a top billiard player. I reckon the in-off is a better shot. But I'm not going to argue with this guy. He's far better than me. Shot selection.
Quite entertaining final so far.
Yeah, well, if Sourav knocks in a 200 here, well, by the way, my 700 prediction went out in that last break, but he's still got a chance. He's still got nearly 1,000 points, Peter, to still get a big break. But anyway, I know he just wants to win, like you say. He was scoring at Open Billiards very strongly, and maybe his top of the table games deserted him a little bit today, Peter. What do you think, Dave?
Basically, it's been non-existent.
Yeah. And that's
as
where
any
his strength
score
is.
goes.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that'll happen.
Mm. Let's set the yellow up for an in-off in the middle, no? Yeah. Now push it. Oh, I don't know if he will push it behind the spot, the yellow now, because he'll have to play a long loser, won't he, Dave, off the red?
I don't think he can push the yellow behind the spot.
No?
but he'll
Bring it
probably
back up over the middle, you think?
Bring it
Or
back.
leave it for an in-off in the corner? Yeah.
Bring it back up. Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not in position yet. He's trying to feel his way to get the balls where he wants to, where he feels comfortable. At the moment, they're all tricky shots. He's got to really think even this could go wrong. Keeps it up the middle of the table, he shouldn't have a problem.
Perfect.
But, yeah. No, I think it's a bit short for the drop though, Dave. He's got to go in off it again.
They're just a bit short, but that's what he wanted to do, was hit it up right down the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. His contact was perfect on the red, yeah.
These shots like that don't trouble these guys. So
No, definitely.
Now he can manoeuvre the red ball wherever he wants to drop, can he?
Yep. Yeah, it's better if these bounce off the cushion a bit. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is probably just a plain ball, would you say? There'd be no side on this, Dave?
No,
plain
you
ball.
wouldn't want to use any
No,
side, really.
Because,
It's only
the
when you want to
compromise-
create an angle that you
Yeah.
put some side on it. So
yeah, compromises your contact, yeah, if you use a bit of side when you don't have to. It's got an angle there to run through.
looks to be a little bit straight.
Stun run through you might need here, or punch it out from the cushion straight up towards baulk. Oh no, it was straight. It was dead straight.
Cued it very nicely.
Yes, he's queuing well, isn't he? Though, you know, like, especially winning that snooker tournament.
There comes with the potting confidence, being able to.
Yeah, you've got to be a good potter, don't you, Dave?
Well,
at top of the
another
table.
billiard player
Yeah.
mightn't have played the pot.
Mm.
Well, certainly wouldn't have played the screw back
Yeah,
as he did before.
yeah,
So
exactly. I
having
totally
that
agree.
in your armour
Oh.
is very advantageous.
Well, that's why Matthew's
Advantageous.
so strong in Australia. You know, he's such a great potter, great snooker player.
Matthew
you know.
Bolton, as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
he's just walked into the room. Hello, Matthew.
It's an absolute strength to be able to pot. I remember in the old when I started playing billiards, there used to be club players, older players in the clubs, you know, and they used to say, "Oh, I wish I could pot," you know, and a lot of them would refuse pots that they should get, and they'd refuse them and try to play a run through in off or something like that, you know. And
Well,
but potting is essential.
it's
in
essential, and
billiards.
you want to get
Yeah.
your potting right, because if you want to be a good billiards player, well, it's part of it.
Mm.
It's another scoring.
Yep, you got to work
Way.
on it, just like you work on your billiard shots. You got to work on your potting. It's work on. I knew I had a couple of friends that they absolutely did not worry about technique. They were pure billiard players, and I said, but look, if you don't have a good technique, how can you play long losers and things like that? Because you're not going to be
Well,
accurate, you know, in your striking. But it is amazing how, and I think in the old days that's what it was like. They didn't worry about technique as much, the billiard players. They were more about shots, shot selection, shot making. But we know now, I mean, all sports have evolved, and it's technical aspects that make the consistent player, you know, in all sports.
yes, well, Kothari's back in business again now, and if he can get close to Peter, then the pressure goes back on Peter, and then he's got to make a score himself. So it's a very interesting game. And what makes this more interesting to me is the fact that Kothari beat Peter last time they played in a very important match. So
66.
that's why I think.
And that was also a final too, wasn't it? I believe.
Final of the world
that
title.
was a final, yeah.
World Championship.
Yeah.
So
that'll be fresh in Peter's mind. That's what I think you're saying. Yeah.
And Peter wouldn't want to lose twice to Sourav in such important matches.
68.
And Sourav would just as well like to beat Peter once again to stamp his authority as a player.
And not to mention the money. I think they're playing for there's a $3,000 difference. I think between first and second.
Yes, I don't think there'd be any saving going on here.
73.
I might have a change in commentary on my part. Changing commentary team here. We have Matthew Bolton and David Pitt. And
Okay, Matty and Dave, take it away, guys.
Well, welcome Matt, and welcome to all the viewers who are with us to this very, very high standard final that we're watching here. For those of you that might have just have joined us, it's been some very high quality billiards so far. Sourav made a 290 break, virtually first visit to jump out to a lead. Since then, Peter's made two 200s to hit the front by nearly 200. And Matthew, what do you make of that shot that Sourav just played?
Yeah.
Inexplicable miss, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Good afternoon to everyone. And bit of a sloppy miss there from Sourav, and he doesn't want to let Peter. He had a good chance there at the table. He doesn't want to let Peter back in like he has, because Sourav jumped out to that 290-point lead with that first break, and since then it's been mainly Peter. 500 odd points to 100. So
it's been quite extraordinary display by Peter, because essentially he made the two 200 breaks without ever really having position. And believe me, the game's hard enough when you do have position, without
absolutely,
them running against you like they have.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched that first break in particular before I came in, and he was barely ever at top of the table. And as a player in a big match at this level, they're actually the breaks that make you feel fantastic, because you get a chance to play all the shots all around the table. You get a real feel for the table, and playing those recovery shots and keeping going really, really fills you full of confidence. And when you do get the balls up to top of the table, it's almost like it's a free hit for bonus points. So I think Peter will be feeling really, really good. He really scrapped hard. That break he made in answer to Kothari's first break was fantastic. The shots to keep going and struggling with position, but great players will do that, and I really think Peter must be feeling really good now.
It's a very interesting insight there, Matt. I think for the ordinary mug, they might think that, oh gosh, he's struggling here. He can't get to the top. He's just playing all round. He can't be feeling all that good about it all. But you've put a completely different take on it there.
Yeah,
that in fact it's good for your game to get the confidence in the all-round game.
Absolutely, and he knows that in a long match, 1500 up, he's going to get plenty of chances to get to top. He knows that, even though he wasn't getting there straight away really easily. At some stage, you're going to start getting the balls there easily. And after having scrapped hard to make a big double hundred with very little top of the table, I think he'll be feeling really good at the moment, Peter. And I think he'll have in the back of his mind now that the break at 750 points and really wanting to get there on this visit. That's probably his focus now, not to let Kothari back in before the break, and he'll go into the break with a really nicely lead, especially considering the break Sourav made right at the start. Just wobbled that one in. Maybe a little bit of a heavy contact. He's having a look at the balls, so I'd say so. Hasn't cost him, but
This is critical here. We'll see how this drop cannon turns out. It's fair to say I don't think any of his drop cannons have turned out in the first session.
No, but they didn't cost him either, in a way. He managed to keep going. So, you know, sometimes you can have days where your drop cannons leave you no shot and kill you with a horrible smother, and other days they don't land nice, but you still seem to have a little cannon or a cushion cannon or a little enough to keep going, and that's sort of what happened to Peter, and he managed just to keep going, keep scoring. And it's a good lesson for people watching as well. Always in the back of his mind, he's got a plan. He's either wanting to get the balls over the middle pockets or in drop cannon position to get towards top again. And while you're thinking like that, as long as you don't leave yourself no shot, you'll keep scoring, and Peter showed that. He loves this kind of play, just the ball's close together and doesn't rush it. He might have to push them apart and bring them back together again here, but very good at this kind of soft cannons up near the top. Tried to use the jaws there. I put the mocker on him. He's played a shocker.
You certainly did, Matt. That's,
yeah.
He's going to have to do something a bit special here. This is not easy.
Yeah, well, he's got a good shot to control position. He can play it off the red and two cushions, the cannon for the white, and he'll just be pushing the white into the middle of the table and flicking the red out a couple of foot off the cushion. So be able to control that shot really nicely for position, but it's not easy. Or he can play this. There's a bit less control with the position here because he has to get the contact right. He's going to be putting the white in a good spot. Played two, no.
Gilchrist, 38.
Okay, so a chance there each, and that with neither of them have capitalised.
This is no snack either. Sourav's having a good look at this one.
No, this is awkward as well. He's looking to play it off the yellow. He's going to need to... Okay, running side off the side cushion.
And difficult to control all three balls off this shot. Of course, as world champion, he's better at
Yeah, I
than
probably prefer the shot off the two cushions off the red personally, but it's hard to tell if you can't see the exact shot. Not sure if the double kiss might even be a problem here. No, it's nowhere near it. Nope. And I think he's left Peter a pretty nice starter here.
It's a bit wide. Which is
It's a
why
bit
he's having
wide,
good look at
but
it,
he's got plenty of distance from the red's out from the cushion far enough that plenty of side. I'm sure he can get this. Maybe not. Funny how just an inch or so in this game makes a big difference. You know, all of a sudden he might have to play a forcing cannon. He's going to... Right.
doesn't fancy it, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Thin screw, perhaps.
He's had to play it with no control.
Yep.
This is where you... Oh, look at this.
Yes, pretty good result from that shot. He really didn't have much control over that at all.
So, two shots and Peter's in excellent position from that nice leave he got off a forcing cannon. couple of shots, he'll be up near top of the table again.
7.
Couldn't quite get the white right over behind the spot. That's because he overhit the red on the in-off in the middle there, David. He brought the red up probably 2 foot further than he would have liked, and he's still in position, but he would have loved to have been able to get that drop cannon with the white over behind the spot more. And again, there's another good chance to Peter maybe get to that halfway mark.
He's just underhit that one.
Underhit it again, yeah.
I think it's pretty safe to say that the errors that these players are making have been through underhitting them rather than overhitting them. It's definitely the conditions just seem to be running more slowly than they're really used to, and it's quite difficult to reprogram.
Yeah, the tables here are playing lovely. Full credit to the club and the table fitters. Just the weather affects the room a little bit when it's cold and damp. It's still nice, but there is a noticeable difference.
Beautiful contact Peter made on the red
Yeah.
there to put it right over the hole, but unfortunately for him, he's left the white on the cushion. Recoverable though in a couple of shots.
Yeah, well, as long as you got control of the red, then these players are good enough to usually work it into a position to recover the white within 3 or 4 shots. Dave Collins just suggesting a little shot there, and Dave's knowledge on the game is right up there with the very best players, not only in Australia but around the world, and just suggesting he could have played a little double kiss pot there and left himself the cross loser, I think. And he's giving me the thumbs up, so his charades and sign language I was reading was correctly interpreted, so...
Well done, Matt.
But Peter's got pretty good position. He played that well. He left himself a lovely angle to play the cannon and get it out and control the red. Some players there might have tried to pot the red and play the cannon, and that's the wrong shot, because if you pot the red and you get the cannon full, you're then buried on the side cushion. So it's kind of thing people at a slightly lesser level often play 2 shots in one and get both of them and then have no shot the next shot. So you saw Peter there play position for the cannon and not worry about the pot, and now he's got both balls in play again. We'd love to be able to swing this wide enough, because it's nice to send. These cannons are lovely because you're not bringing the balls across in front of each other at all. You're sending the red a long way to the pocket, and you can't quite get it wide enough to play the cannon. But
Yes, I recommend you. There's no danger of a smother.
That's
or
right.
anything like that. You've got that separation which avoids the risk.
that's not ideal. May play a run through gathering cannon here. It might. Yeah.
Well called. He's lined them up. Almost.
Yeah, so just a controlled shot there, not trying to be too greedy. He knew the balls weren't ideal. Just to follow through cannon, bring the balls anywhere within a foot or two of each other. You know you're going to have a shot, or maybe 2 or 3 shots. And you go back to work. Again, not being greedy, good lesson there, you know. It's just wanted to make soft contact, be close to the white, maybe have an in-off, bring the red back, and he's got a pot on the red. It's all leaving himself options when he's not perfect. Possibly play to prot the red twice here, put it up on the spot, and then control a cannon or two to get the balls back towards a drop cannon position, down towards top of the table. Again, maybe playing for option there of an in off the white if he wanted it, if it was absolutely perfect. 2 shots. And might have sent the white a fraction further than he had a hope there, Dave. I'm not sure if he'd love to be able to get in off that white from baulk. He's going to play in off it now and get it in a better spot. So you can see there Peter's played 5 or 6 shots where he's just left himself options, controlled the balls, and very simple but very effective billiards. Doesn't want this full. He's okay. And now he might have had a little shot turn up to get up to the top. If he wants to play this really thin, he can knock the white straight up there. Well, I don't actually think he spotted that thin enough to play that shot. Here's me telling the world champion what he should have done, but I think Peter will agree with me if he watches that one back. He could have spotted that thinner and got a bit more pace, less travel on the red with a thinner contact, and got the white up there a bit further, right behind the spot. Needs the white to bounce. It hasn't, it's hard on the cushion. And that's probably end of break for Pete. Be a little bit disappointed with that, but oh no, he's got a shot on the red. But he will be a bit disappointed with that last cannon that he played. That's a nice shot.
That's a pretty shot,
Screw
yeah.
and right-hand side. Okay, so the red back in a good position. Chance to use the red for a few shots and possibly recover that white. It is difficult because the white's very close to the cushion, so... Oh, he's
Done that a couple of times. Just, not got the force on a relatively straightforward forcer. Luckily for him, he's left them pretty tricky. The red's in baulk and not a lot on here. Long distance cannon, but it's no snack.
No, or a tough pot into the middle pocket. But again, this is all about where they land. It's such a big part of the game at this level. If you can get away with a few shots and not leave your opponent an easy start, because if they get in, you're expecting them to score 100 plus most times.
Yeah.
And if they don't, you feel lucky.
Yeah. Yep. Critical phase of the game here, just heading into the break at the halfway mark, up to 1,500 points, so around about the 750 point mark, they'll take a break. And Sourav desperate to close the gap. He's over 200 behind. Peter, of course, equally keen to extend his lead up to 300.
Absolutely.
And setting the pattern for the next phase.
I think that's Sourav's last 3 visits possibly. He hasn't scored. 3 tough cannons, if I recall correctly. Tough pot.
Yeah, it was a tough pot.
Forcing in off the red by the looks of it. A little bit hard on the screen just to know how big a forcer or how close to natural half ball they are. Looks like a forcer. It is. It's a big forcer. He copped that a bit thick. Didn't really strike that.
Yeah. And they've both been struggling with those.
Again.
That's good. Not a difficult leave.
So a few difficult leaves on misses here, and it's going to be 1 or 2 good shots to get in to create the next chance. Peter with a chance here for possibly a cushion cannon off the white down to the red. A bit of stun and left-hand side. Maybe a straight screw off the white. No, the first option. Got the red right from behind, the one place he didn't want it. Again, the ball's just testing both players a bit here, right at an important part of the match. They'll both know it. You've seen it with Sourav, just showing a fraction of frustration that he hasn't been, left a easier starter, or that first easy cannon he missed about 3 or 4 visits ago. Balls are just testing them here. It's where a lot of players, especially the Indian players, they're so disciplined, they won't be scared to play safety. Peter and other players prefer to try and find a shot if they can, but on this occasion, maybe recognising the important stage of the match, he doesn't really want that to go in.
Certainly doesn't want that to go in.
So good shot there from Peter. Right shot, in my opinion, at this stage. Return safety coming up, I think, Dave. Maybe sending the yellow right down to the top cushion. Okay, well that's ended up in a great place for Sourav. That could have gone anywhere. Yeah, does Peter have a go here, David, or does he play safe? The safety's not that easy because you can't just drop the white into the yellow pocket, so to speak, in that corner, because he's going to be leaving his ball where the white is, and it's going to leave Sourav a cannon directly to the red or off the top cushion to the red that probably is a better than 50-50 shot. So that's why he's taking his time on this.
Would you take this cannon on from here, Matt, in this situation?
I think I probably would, because you can play it hard, so you make sure you get your ball away from the red if you miss it. Number one, that's a golden rule. And number two, you're going to be sending the other ball across the table into baulk. You can almost play it like a snooker safety and leave the white on the baulk cushion and play the cannon thin. No, he's played the first shot, but you see how he's played that with a bit of pace? Because he knew he couldn't just drop him there and leave the cannon. Actually a smart shot, that. Playing for a little bit of luck, because a couple of draws that white could have come back up this side cushion and left a shot, but he took a calculated risk there without taking a full risk at the cannon. So fair result. Sourav flirting with that middle jaw again.
He's got essentially a similar shot to last time, but
very similar.
Being further away makes the cannon that much more difficult. So it's likely.
Yeah, well, the cannon's a bit tougher this time. Well,
would you?
Again, he was trying to really stop his ball dead where the yellow was and get Sourav's ball away from the jaws. Unfortunately, he got it a bit wrong, and it's come back and hit his ball and ended up a bit of a disaster for him. And so Sourav winning that little battle there. Maybe had a couple of good results off those middle jaws to keep it very, very awkward for Peter and make his shot extra difficult, but that's the way it goes. So, and this is when you really want to capitalise after a little battle like that.
A couple of he's taking a third option here.
Cannon maybe not right. Possibly the middle pocket in his way with the yellow.
And he's gone back to the straight to the top shot.
Yeah, well, he should be able to manufacture it even if the middle pocket's not in the way. These players are that good that they can hit the ball a bit thick with check side or a bit thin with running side if they have to. A little bit trickier over that distance, but he's going to play the slow in off and leave himself another in off in the middle, I think. Looks thick.
He's missed that.
Very thick. He's missed that by a long
He
way.
did.
Was never confident or comfortable on the shot there.
Right. Jim Long used to play those ones with a little bit of check side just to make sure that it came, up the table towards the top cushion. Matt, what's your way of playing
Those
ball?
thin ones.
Mhm.
Oh, those really thin ones there when you're close to them, a plain ball shot, I think. When you're playing them, when they're a bit closer to the middle pocket and they're thickish, then you can play them thick with some check side. But those ones there, they're quite tricky little shots, those, where where you're quite close to the ball and you're just trying to drop it in dead weight. You have to get the contact absolutely perfect.
So plain ball.
Plain ball, I think, is how you'll find most guys play it. But if you're good enough to play it with check side, go for it.
Good advice, Matt.
There's a lot of shots in this game that different players are playing and comfortable playing different ways, and even at top level, some guys are more comfortable playing certain shots with side. Other players will say, well, you didn't need side there, but most top billiards players are experts at using side, as you'd know.
I heard Joe Manici just before advocating that Sourav should play a drop cannon plain ball, which I couldn't believe coming from Joe.
Well, that looks like not a bad result. He's got a nice cannon to white cushion red, promote the red, bring the white up to about oh no, it was a bit thinner than it looked. So be looking to put his foot down here, Peter, and really make sure he gets past that, gets to the break now. I don't think they'll take a break while the player's at the table, Dave, or am I incorrect?
They'll wait till the end of a...
They'll wait till the end of a break.
Yep.
Okay.
Either just before or just after the 750 mark. That's my understanding.
Right.
So this is really a new format here at Yarraville. In the past, the Australian Open has been played in the 150 up format, or some years in a shorter format, and you've won plenty of those under those formats, Matt. But this year, I think there was a bit of a desire from amongst the public to not just see these top players from overseas and Australia come out and make 150 breaks, but to see some bigger breaks, and we've seen that already with a couple of big 400s and lots and lots of 300s and 200s this week. So we've really got the chance to see these guys displaying their skills. What's your take on the long format that we're playing?
I'm a big fan of the changes that have been made, and everyone I've spoken to agrees, David. So well done to people for asking for the feedback and making the decision. Because look, I don't like the 150 up format. I don't think it's done what it was designed to do for billiards and quicken things up. It's a terribly negative game. Once you get to a certain point and you haven't got a really easy shot, there's a lot of pot white, double baulk, a lot of safety play, and I think a points up format is far better. I love the idea where we've played time in the round robin, because it's obviously scheduling issues are a huge thing with billiards. If you're playing, first to a certain number of points, and we do have a large variance in ability of player from top to bottom here. So you could have some matches that go for half an hour and other matches that could go for 2 hours to score the same number of points. So it's very difficult for the scheduling. So the 90 minutes in the round robin, I think, has been great. The time matches gives everyone a chance to get into it and get going and just play billiards and not worry about trying to get to 150. And then obviously in the knockout, we've played points up, 750 points up in the 16 and 1,000 for the quarters, 1,250 and now 1,500 for the final. And the great thing about that is you never get any dead time in the match, and that's the idea of the points up. Often there could be a situation where someone's 1,000 in front with an hour to go, and really that hour is a waste of time. It's no good for the spectators, the players, the viewers. because the result is already determined. So whereas with the points up, there's a finish point, but it's still a long match, so the players still open up and play as they would in a time match. And I think it's been great. I think it's definitely the way forward for, well, not just billiards here, but the quicker they get rid of the 150 up and the 100 up, the happier I'd be. To be honest, I'd rather see us. If there is a short format, let's make it a shorter points up format. But
Yeah, no, interesting to hear your viewpoint, Matt. I certainly agree with what you've said, but it's impossible for us to see us coming back next year with a field of the quality that we've had here this week, which is a very strong field.
Yeah, it's a great
Not
field.
just at the top, but in the depth. It's very strong, both at the top and the bottom.
Absolutely.
And to come back next year and play 150 up, I don't think people would be very happy. So I would think this format is here to stay for a little while.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's all about getting as many entries as we can from the local players as well. And I think even the local players that get to play 90 minutes in the round robin, especially against someone of a similar ability in one or two of their matches in their group, is more enjoyable for them than playing games of first to 150, which can, if they go 3-2,
It can be.
I mean, you give me we get some 5-hour matches, don't we?
We have done
yes,
that. Matt, I've been here till
that's no good for anyone.
I've been here till 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Which was just appalling.
Yeah.
For everybody, particularly for the poor old referee who had to stick around and
so
watch
no,
it.
I think it's been fantastic. And I think the international players will be keener to come back, and you may see them encourage others playing this format. We're blessed to have these guys coming out here. It's really, obviously we're going to have a stronger field for the world titles in October, but apart from that, it's as strong a field as there is for any other tournament in the world.
Matt, you've mentioned the world title at the RACV in October, which everybody here in Melbourne and probably around Australia is very excited about. A lot of work going into that tournament to make it the best showcase that we can.
That's great.
It's only the third time that's been played outside of the UK.
Brilliant.
And we've had tremendous support from the RACV and from the billiards community, of course, in putting that on. We're all very excited about it.
Absolutely, as am I. It's nice to not have to decide whether or not to go to England for a change. And really, for the good of the game, the World Championship should move around the world. And it's a full credit to everyone in Australia that's put their hands into being part of the project to make that happen. And I'm sure it will be an exceptional event. And I'm sure that players from around the world that come will speak of it as one of the best World Championships there has been for a long time.
We certainly hope.
I'm very confident of that.
We certainly hope so. And there's two people in particular that deserve credit for bringing it to Australia. Jason Colebrook, the head of Billiards Australia and the director of World Billiards. He first came up with this idea probably about a year and a half or 2 years ago. Mentioned it to a few people. A lot of people felt that 2019 was too soon, and that 2020 would be a reasonable target. But Jason persisted, got the approval of World Billiards to consider bringing it here. And then from the ABSC, Warwick Loughton did a tremendous job of negotiating with the RACV to make it possible. And between the two of them, they brought this event to Australia in a way that didn't seem all that likely.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And obviously Jason's doing a lot of work on a lot of committees for the sport all around Australia and the world. And, hats off to him. Hats off to Warwick Loughton as well, who's, a top guy that put his hand up to get involved with the sport. And I know he's responsible for making a lot of this happen, so I'm sure it's going to be a great event. But let's just get back to Peter here for a second, Dave, because he's played this nicely. He's got to 90. Well, we've been talking about other things, but he's in lovely position here, and you'd think he's going to get past the halfway mark to the break. It's an interesting one for me. I've been thinking about that, Dave, what the rules should be about the break in this format. And my personal opinion is that it should be once you get to 750, whether you're at the table or not, because there are 2 sessions advertised for the final, and there is a break in between. Now, theoretically, Peter could maybe make 800 or 900 here, and then there's a break when he needs a couple of 100 points to win. Or theoretically, he could run out the match. So what happens to the 4 o'clock session? So I'm just thinking of and in a time match, you don't keep, in a time match at the end of the session's the end of the session, whether you're at the table or not.
True.
So I probably think that could be something that could be looked at. And really, players are under the understanding that you get a break when the other guy gets to halfway. So it should be the same no matter what the situation is, I think. Jason just walked into the room, David, so we better stop talking about him now.
Indeed. Yeah, it's interesting to know when that break could be, and obviously if there's a spot up or something like that, that's an ideal moment to take the break. But
well, put it this way: if you're Peter, you won't be.
You're told to stop.
You won't be stopping.
If you're Sourav, you want him to stop.
If you're other playing, you want him to jump out of the chair when he gets to 750 and say break.
That's right.
I'm not sure what the directions are for the players, or maybe Jason could tell us while he's in the room. We're just talking about the ruling with the break, Jason. We're just.
Should be offered to the players when they get halfway, but not during a break.
Right, that's what I'm. Yeah, not during a visit. We're just. We're saying that probably should be looked at, because theoretically the match could be over on this visit. I know it's unlikely, but that is possible. And then there's no second session. So in a time match, it stops whether you're at the table or not. So probably think once a player gets to 750, it could maybe be 800, because obviously the other player's not at 750, but somewhere around there probably should be compulsory break. And then we know when the break is, because if he makes 4 or 5 or 6 or 700, then all of a sudden we have a very long first session, and Peter could come back to the table and finish it in 20 minutes. So that's probably something that is an interesting talking point, but I know that's sort of been offered to the players at various stages when they ask for it, and that's dangerous as well, because there's certain times when one player will want it and one won't, and they probably shouldn't have to be in that situation. It's a funny situation for Peter here, because he'll want to get as many as he can, but he knows he's in the back of his mind, he knows that when he misses there's a break as well now. So but being the professional he is, he'll have the bit between the teeth here. He'll be wanting to make a real monster break here, because that's going to make it real hard for Sourav if he can make 300 or 400 here. And he's cruised to 133.
Because from the other point of view, what Peter would love to do would be to be in perfect position at the top and take a break then, so that he knows when he comes back, he's got an absolute walk-up start and can continue to pound it in. So it's. There's a couple of ways of looking at it, perhaps.
Yeah. He's got him nice here. He's played that lovely. Just brought the red out. Made sure he hit the far side of the white. As long as he plays this pot nicely, he'd be back at perfect top here.
He would probably like to stop after this shot.
Oh, he won't be wanting to stop anytime soon, Dave, at all.
No, but if he has to stop, this is the time to stop, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. Well, I'll probably put the curse on him, but I'm going to predict the big one here, just because he knows how crucial this visit is.
150 to go. He's already got 2 200s in the session. He's really playing very strong billiards now with a lead that's just stretched over 400. It's a lovely place to be halfway through a big final.
Yeah, a very nice place to be, especially when he was 200 odd behind straight away.
Nearly 300 first visit, so
yeah.
It's a 700 point turnaround.
Yeah. Yeah, the break can't come soon enough for Kothari, because he's basically scored 100 while Peter's scored 800 odd. So it's been all Peter's table time. And that's why he'll be so keen to make a big one here. He'll be disappointed if he doesn't make a big one here. just getting the white right close to the cushion there. Great camera angle from down, doing an awesome job with the billiards buddy up here at top of the table. It's fantastic, the different camera angles and the spin that the viewers can see on the ball, on all the cannons and little shots. You know, you see again there, he's spin on the ball and getting the white straight out off the cushion there. He knew he could get it sort of half ball, and Peter doesn't like it near the rail. He likes the floating white rather than the postman's knock where the white's against the cushion, and bringing it up beautifully. And most players, Dave, well, all that I know of at the top level, they like that white, the other player's ball, not directly behind the spot, just slightly to the side of it, so that they can play underneath it from one side all the time and keep knocking it back towards the spot. You don't want too far to the side, but just half a ball to a ball width is absolutely perfect. Peter's made a fraction further over that he wants, but it's still fantastic position because he's got the options just to knock that up parallel with the red spot.
He's just made a mistake there by dropping the red in.
Don't see that too often from Pete, accidentally potting the ball at top of the table, but it does happen.
I saw Walter Lindrum do that on YouTube the other week.
Well, if Walter's done it once, then...
It was a nice recovery.
Yeah, he looks like he's hit that pretty good. It's a great shot. It's beautifully controlled. That was a big shot, that, because he was perfect at top, and he chucked it away with potting the red, which is, you know, at that level, elementary mistake that is disappointing, and to play now he's absolutely perfect. He pots this and plays what we call a correcting cannon, which is where that ball's in a similar position to what it is, or anywhere in that area, and the cannon to the red pushes the white, corrects the white back over towards or behind the spot, much closer to it. Playing that with a lot of left-hand side. Didn't get the contact right, but he's got a nice little shot, nice cannon to keep going here.
You're talking about Matt just having the white to the side of the spot. Of course, one of the things that's changed the equation there, the equation between floating white and postman's knock, is the baulk line rule. Because with the baulk line rule, it's much more difficult to play postman's knock because the precision required when you send the white in and out of baulk is much greater than if you're playing floating white. You've got a much bigger margin for getting into good position if you've got the white.
Yeah, correct.
Next to the red.
Yeah, yeah. I still think most of the top modern day players, even without the baulk line rule, I think most of them do prefer and would still play floating white.
Well, that's been the trend for a long time. You know.
Yeah. But personally, I enjoy playing a bit of postman's knock if it ends up there. If it ends up right hard on the cushion, then I'm happy to leave it there if I'm already there. But obviously, then if you're getting close to that 80-point mark in the baulk line rule, you're wanting to bump it up and start playing a bit of floating again. In the national championships, we don't play the baulk line rule, so you can afford to leave it there for longer if you can keep it there.
Looking forward to the national, Matt?
Yeah, always look forward to the national billiards. So it's great having these internationals out here, but it'd be nice to see the back of them. So a little bit rusty in this, mate. I've had about 12 months without any billiards practice at all until this week. So got found out a little bit yesterday by a very good Dhruv Sitwala, who played. Even if I was close to my best, I would have actually, had to have been to have a chance in the match. He played fantastic billiards, Dhruv, as good as I've seen him play. So full credit to him, and it was nice just to be back playing against world-class players, to be honest, Dave, irrespective of what happened. We're we're really lucky to have these great players out in Australia putting this game on show still and keeping it alive. Peter's still going 198. And he's had to go through baulk. I was just thinking he might have been, what a great shot that is. That is a brilliant shot.
And what a result.
What a shot that is.
Oh, that's extraordinary. And 200.
And if you can see Sourav sitting in his chair there, I think he's just thinking, wow, when I just want to go for a break, and Peter's pulled off an amazing cannon to cross the baulk line and landed absolutely plumb with a half ball off in the middle, and Sourav is, you can just see him there
looking at
thinking,
the ground.
thinking that I did not need that right now.
what a tremendous session by Peter. It's fair to
Brilliant
say.
stuff. Some adventurous shots as well early on when he could have run away and hit a couple of times on that early on. And once he recovered the wide out of the pocket early on to make that big break, when the commentators, and rightly so, had said end of break, he's going to pot white double baulk pretty much. And he manufactured it to keep going. He's played some fantastic stuff.
So 3 200s in a session, you'd take that any time, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, this could be a big one because when you recover like that, if you can get back into position, you really do feel full of confidence, you know. And if he can turn this into 350, 400, it's a long, long way back for Sourav against this guy.
But, of course, let's not forget Sourav, the comeback master, the World Championship.
Yeah, I wasn't at that one, but apparently he produced one of the great comebacks to beat Corsia in the semi-finals. Yep. And that is some effort because Dave Corsia is arguably the best player in the world at the moment, according to most people, and is definitely the best front runner in the world, probably, that you'll see. So to come back against Corsia like that is, he was a long, long way behind, I believe. I wasn't there, but he was a long way behind, and he's going to have to find something similar today, Dave, because Peter's building a really good lead here. And just wiggles that one in. Wiggles that one in. This table's certainly not the tightest one in the room, so you have got a little bit of play on the corner pockets on this table. Lovely table. For elite level stuff, the corner bags are quite easy. You won't see many pots missed off the at top of the table. You won't see many pots missed along the top cushion. There isn't much pressure on the pot at top of the table at this standard of play, at all. So
this table's easier then than the other tables in the row?
Yeah, this table's a little bit easier than a couple of the others for sure. Table 3 is the tightest table, well, apart from the star table, but table 3 is widely considered amongst the players as the best table in the room, with the best run and the best pockets on it. But obviously this being sort of the show table here is used for the final, which, as I say, is an absolutely magnificent table. Just the corner bags do take all the pressure off the pots at top of the table, really. You know, unless you're right near the cushion or something. I don't know, have we seen a pot missed yet at top of the table?
No.
You know, there's been 1,300 points scored and no one's missed a pot at top, so...
And how would you compare the pace of those two tables, this championship table and table 3?
I think table 3 probably runs a little bit better when they're both at their best. This table's got steel block cushions, the others don't, so this table plays a little bit squarer with the new cloth on than the others as well. It doesn't quite slide as much off the cushions, and it maybe bounces a bit quicker when it's first re-cloth because of the steel blocks. But the table 3, which is the one we used to play the finals on at the old Yarraville Club, David, that they had re-blocked and re-templated probably 5-6 years ago. And Alcox did an absolute perfect job on it. It's one of the best tables I've played on in Australia. So I would love to see that one used for the finals myself, because it is right next to it, so I don't think it makes a big difference in the room. Me and Steve played the national final on that last year by mutual agreement. So if you don't believe what I say about the tables, then if Steve Mifsud says it, I'm sure you will. So, anyway, back to Peter, 241. I did call, I predicted a big one, and he made that amazing recovery to cross the baulk line not long ago. And that might be just the tonic he needed to turn this into something much more than 244. Can he make a 500? We haven't had a 500, Dave.
Yeah, it'd be lovely to see, because there's no doubt that if at the beginning of the week you'd had a sweep on the highest break, there would have been too many people tipping a break under 500 as the high break would there.
Well, with the baulk line crossing rule, it does change things. I think if you have a look on at the results, you'll see a lot of breaks between 80 and 100, and a lot of breaks between 180 and 200. And that tells a story, because they're so the baulk line crossing does make, those big breaks harder. If you're not in position, it can be tough to do. As you see what Peter had to pull off then to
Mm.
keep going. If you're
That's right.
not playing the rule, he was
Yep.
just keeps going.
Yeah.
So
Yes, my take on that is that it always introduces an element of risk, no matter how well you're playing.
that's right. There's a
Without the
little
baulk line
cover
rule,
here.
you can really be in control, everywhere. But with the baulk line rule, you're forced to take, some sort of a risk during the break, and it doesn't always work.
That's right. So Peter getting a cover here, and this is a bit awkward. This is tough. There's a lot of distance to make the cannon. Now,
It's a little bit too straight to run
well,
through.
he looks like he could possibly play cushion first underneath the white and take his ball over to the red, but there is a fair bit of distance in between that, so that's no guarantee.
And
The other option he's got, I don't know if Dan, can we go back to that front on angle of the 3 balls? That's a great angle. He's playing the screw backing off here, left hand side. Big shot, he's missed it. He's missed it, and that will be the break. Bit unlucky there, Peter, to get that cover. Probably expected him to get that, being the brilliant cueist he is and the touch that he has. But still, 252. Peter's going to be really, really happy with that lead.
And a break of 500, a lead of 500 going into the
absolutely
final session. Well,
Yeah.
30 minutes. So great to chat, Matt. And,
Yep,
there'll
no,
now be
we'll-
a 30-minute break, and Cue Ball TV will be back on air with Dan Lynch and the commentary team in half an hour.
And I think
Thank you very
4
much,
4
Matt.
p.m, isn't it, Dave?
Oh,
Just
4
for the
p.m.
viewers. 4
Oh.
p.m. the second session. Is that right? 4 p.m, Paul, the second session? 4 p.m? No? No. Sorry, I've got this all wrong. Yes? Sorry, David Pitt, you're correct.
Thank you.
Only half an hour, and we'll see you then.
Before you resume. Well, that was a nice break, that first one. You control the ball at the top there. Very nice.
It's the final. Yes. 1,500. That's why they took a break. What they do is they advertise the 1,500 up, and when the leading player gets past 750, then they say we'll take a 30-minute break if his visit finishes. So when his visit finished and if they take 5, they say, right, that's it, we'll take a 30-minute break. So these guys are marking the balls, measuring the balls, sorry. Mark Binney is about to help them brush, pad and iron the table, so it'll be ready to go in 30 minutes time.